So, hi,
Ooh.
Tanya, can you introduce yourself and tell us maybe what you do and yeah.
For sure. So, hello, I'm Tanya. I am a radio host at FBI Radio, which is a community radio station based in Redfern in Sydney. And I host a show there called Monday Arvos, which is like a drive time show. We play a lot of music, have some chats. And I also work at FBI Radio full time.
And you also DJ a little bit. Or a lot.
I do DJ, yes, yes. It feels wild to even think about DJing at the moment because we're all just like locked in our homes. But yes, I DJ.
Yeah, and on your show, and I know the answer to this question, and I know the answer to the DJ part of it as well. But so, what kind of music do you play? Where does it come from? And such.
Yeah, so on my show, I play pretty much all sorts of genres. How FBI's music works is there's a music team who listen to so much music every single week, and they choose a bunch of new songs each week to add to our playlist. So across the main shows that are on in prime time slots, so like during the day, we have a lot of new music coming through from the music team to play. I also play some of my own picks in there as well. And I kind of love old genres, love hip hop, love pop, indie, whatever. Pretty much anything under the sun, I'm into it. And that's also kind of how I approach DJing. So I definitely don't stick to any genres. It kind of depends on the gig and what I'm feeling that night. But I do really like DJing kind of hip hop and pop mostly.
Yeah, cool. When the music, so like, I guess, how does FBI and yourself find their new music? Like how does it get? I know a lot of it gets sent to the station. How do people get their music to you, or where do you find that you're finding out about the music that you play and the station plays?
Yeah, so there are a bunch of different ways to get music across to us. A lot of our music is sent direct from artists to our music team. It's very easy to submit music online now, which is great.
Is that just via email at the moment?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So people just email music@fbiradio.com, send a bit of info about their tracks, and basically take it from there, and that gets passed out to all different presenters at the station. But we also get music being serviced from obviously record labels and publicists as well. And of course, we're always trolling the internet to find other things that, you know, people might not necessarily know about the station, but we're always looking for good stuff. So Bandcamp, SoundCloud, all of those kind of platforms where people can just upload music, we're always across them.
How much music, and this might be a really hard question to answer, how much music do you reckon gets sent in a day or a week?
It is a wild amount. And like my personal inbox probably gets like a tenth of the amount that's actually sent to our music team and our music director, Amelia, each week. But I think I would get like probably 100 songs a day.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a lot. And it's obviously difficult to listen to all of them. So that's including songs and records that are serviced to me by labels. Generally, how I work is I'll prioritize artists and bands who have sent me stuff directly, and kind of added in some sort of a personal line about why they think I might like their music, just because I know that they've gone to the effort of like finding my email, maybe listening to the show. So I'll always try and give them a listen and see where it can fit into what I play on air. But yeah, it's hard. on the other hand, while I don't necessarily listen to every single thing that I get sent, our music team definitely do, which is why they're just like working kind of all hours of the clock to listen to everything.
If they're getting 1,000 songs a day and there's 2 minutes each, just been silly.
I know.
That's a lot of songs.
It's a lot of songs, yeah.
And I also too, like this is, I guess, very FBI focused at the moment, but the FBI has to play a certain percentage of local music, right?
Yes. So we play 50% Australian music and half of that from Sydney. At the moment, we're kind of upping even those percentages to just support Australian and Sydney music as much as we possibly can.
I have so many more questions now. So the music that gets sent to you must be from all over Sydney. But do you find like some parts of Sydney are strong for certain genres?
Oh yeah,
like
for
of course,
sure.
like there's inner west and outer west and eastern suburbs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you get a lot of like surf rock from the northern beaches. Like there's a lot of like particular like white boy bands from the eastern suburbs. And then, I mean, at the moment, I feel like the most exciting thing that's happening in Sydney is all of the amazing music that we've got coming out of Western Sydney. So there's like so much incredibly high quality R&B and hip hop coming from there.
It's wild. Like, yeah, I've started to hear some R&B and it's like, whoa, it's like, it's kind of almost back.
Yeah, fully. Like Lara and Darlow and like there are some really amazing things. Rebecca Hatch, like incredible R&B, like kind of old school vibes coming from there.
And I guess probably the last thing just about FBI, more specifically about FBI, does it most of the listeners are in Sydney, or the listeners are everywhere, aren't they? Because it's online. Like
Totally, yeah. So people can stream from anywhere in the world. Most of our listeners definitely do live in Sydney. I guess a lot of our content is quite Sydney focused, whether it be, gigs or cultural initiatives or workshops that are happening in Sydney are kind of what we're talking about. But at the same time, we do have a bunch of listeners all across the country and even the world, yeah.
Yeah. I wonder, especially a bunch of expats probably still listen to FBI once they move somewhere else, right?
Oh yeah, I would definitely. If I ever move overseas, I feel like I will always listen to FBI to feel connected to Sydney.
Yeah, it's funny you say to Sydney because it's great that it plays so much from Sydney. Something that you actually said before, which I think young artists might find interesting. You saying you get serviced by record labels and individuals. What does the role of a record label mean to you? Does it mean anything, or does it mean a lot? Or
I think increasingly it doesn't necessarily change the way that I listen to music or see music, but there are certain labels that I really trust in terms of what they're putting out. I know that I like the majority of stuff they put out. For example, Remote Control Records, I feel like I vibe with pretty much everything they service me. So that means that I'll be quicker to keep my eye out. If I get an email from them, I'll be like, oh, let me check this artist out, even though I haven't heard of them before. But on the whole, I feel like obviously there are major labels that are kind of putting out a bunch of stuff all the time. And I don't know how much those majors change the way that I see certain artists.
Yeah, sure. Sure, because I guess everyone now can be on Spotify, can be on everything. So
exactly, and sometimes you don't even know what record label an artist is released on. I feel like it's only something that I've more recently started paying attention to.
Because I guess it used to seem like such an important thing, but all the artists now, like a lot of the hip hop guys are independent, aren't they? Like.
Exactly, totally. And like big artists, even internationals, like I know JPEG Mafia springs to mind, who is pretty major in like the indie rap world, and he releases everything by himself, which is, it's just like if you have the know-how, you definitely don't need a label, I think.
Yeah, fully. Cool. So actually, speaking of labels, is there any other really ones that you like they've just been really cool lately that you think these guys are always putting out good stuff? This is a good, this is a good vibe for what's going on now, or...
Yeah, I think it's probably along the more like rocky lines, but I really like this new label called Blossom Rot Records, which is led by Sophie McComish, who is in Body Type, and Natalie Pavlovich in a band called Diana's. So it's like way more rock focused, but I really like what they're doing, and there's like a kind of sound that is linking all of their releases together. I think they only launched it like really late last year, so it's brand new. That's fun. I, along those lines, really like Dinosaur City Records as well. But it's funny because I think a lot of the music in terms of like hip hop, R&B, even pop that I listen to, I just wouldn't even know what labels are putting any of that stuff out if they are out on a label, you know? Love Bad Apple's music, which is Briggs's label. I don't know how much they're doing at the moment, but I have always been a big fan of Elephant Tracks.
It's actually been a while since you've seen a lot from Elephant Tracks, right?
It has, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you and I guess when you found these artists, has it mainly been through Spotify, or has it SoundCloud, or where do you think most of you're hearing most of it?
Yeah, I think, well, a lot of the music
TikTok?
That I find, oh my God, I wish I was cool enough to find music through TikTok. I think it's probably radio, to be honest, which is maybe a little bit lazy on my part, but I'm obviously listening to the radio all the time. And I do hear a lot of brand new stuff from that. But I do also, I feel like the Spotify algorithm knows me pretty well by now, so I do like finding stuff through there. SoundCloud, personally, less so. I find it really overwhelming, and so I pretty much only find new music from artists I already know or new remixes or whatever. But yeah, I feel like radio and Spotify are probably my two major ways of finding new stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. My next question might be a bit bizarre for these times, but it feels it was a really relevant question 2 months ago. And I hear a lot of people talking about you need to be gigging, and that helps with support here and support there, right? And, you know, if you find if you hear a great new artist, does what they're doing apart from making music, like how important do you see that, or is it not? Is it important?
I think if there's an artist that I'm really loving, I'm always interested to know when they're playing live, if they're playing live, if I can see them, especially if they've only put out a song or maybe two. I feel like seeing an artist live is a great way of getting a vibe of like what might be next for them. And so I'm always really excited to see new acts that I'm into on recording play live. I don't think it changes the way that I see them though. Like if they're not doing anything live, I'm like, fair enough, we've all got stuff on. But I know that I'll like always be keeping my eye out for when that may be. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think will happen after we all can go out again? Will there be gigs on? Are you sick of thinking of that, of getting that question or even thinking about it? But
no, not at all. I can't wait. Like, I think it's going to be an incredibly exciting time, especially here in Sydney, where our nightlife has changed a lot over the past 5 years. And there's been an increasing pushback, but I think this like mandated lockdown means that once it's lifted, people are really going to have a newfound appreciation for being able to go out and be with their friends. I know it's probably the thing that I miss most is seeing live music and just like going to pubs and clubs with my mates. And I think that people, and I'm sure this will wear off in the long run, but for the first little bit, I think people will find more energy than they ever have to actually go out and support artists, which should be great. I think it's going to be very, very exciting.
Yeah, you hope that, I guess, everyone still has a couple of dollars so they can just like, yes, I can go see someone right now. Which, you know, it doesn't cost that much money to go see someone anyway, does it?
Not at all. Not at all.
Is there any like trends you've noticed in different sounds lately? Like, obviously there's recently been a big trend in hip hop and R&B, but any genre of music. What are some trends you've noticed, or like, you know, subgenres within genres? Like, you know, in hip hop you've got R&B or things like that. Like, is there anything that's kind of, I guess, becoming a thing, or like, or an artist that's really kind of like making a new sound, like, or not a new sound, or bringing up an old sound and making it popular in Sydney?
Totally. Well, I mean, as we were just talking about, like Becca Hatch and Lara Andalo and artists like Clarissa May, I feel like are doing something very different that we haven't necessarily heard in Sydney for a while. I think those three artists, and there are a bunch more as well, are, if you heard them out of context, you could think they're from anywhere. Like, I just think, but at the same time, place means a lot to them, and they are creating this new Sydney sound. They're always referencing where they're from and their neighbourhoods, and kind of how that's shaped who they are today, which I think is really cool. Obviously, 1-4 are a major one, and like what's happening in drill in Sydney and Melbourne is awesome. I just think, like, and obviously the way it's resonated across the globe just goes to show how unique it is. And I think we're really lucky to have them from here and repping those like parts of our city. What else? I think on a global scale, in pop, there's like a big 80s resurgence, which I think is kind of fun. I never really got into 80s music. It was like, I mean, I was very young in the 90s, so obviously like it wasn't a thing for me, but I think like Dua Lipa and The Weeknd have a fun retro sound that is like not as lame as you would think.
I like the new Weeknd records.
Yeah, it's good. So good.
I love every Dua Lipa record, but anyway.
Honestly.
Heaps Decent Radio. You have been so kind to us by... So Heaps Decent Radio is a segment on your show where we choose one song each week to play. We play anything from the songs we've made with kids in kindergarten to songs that we've made in juvenile justice, obviously with all identities protected. Apart from me messing up the other week and giving you a song I shouldn't, has there been any funny songs or any funny reactions from listeners or anything like that maybe you can... This is totally putting you on the spot, but I just thought of this.
No, not at all.
That's happened over, God, how many years has...
Well, so Heaps Decent Radio is before my time. I have been hosting Arvos for, I think, 3 years now.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, and I think Heaps Decent Radio started a couple of years before that even, right?
Yeah, at least, actually.
Yeah, which is so good. But I think often, because Heaps Decent Radio happens at 5 p.m. every Monday, and
it's like peak time, isn't it? It's like prime time radio. It's so good.
Prime time radio, yeah, absolutely. It's awesome. And I think when we get to play, like, as you said, songs from kids who were maybe 5 or 6, or even like in primary school, and you can just hear how excited they are to be doing a song. And I think sometimes their lyrics are like really so deep, and also very uplifting in a way. There was one song in particular, and I can't remember exactly what it was. I might have to like look it up and find it and email you about it later. But it's like, it just made me so happy. I wish I could remember what the vibe was. But yeah,
I don't blame you. There's been a lot of songs.
There have. But yeah, I think those always get a good response on the text line as well. Like, people are tired driving home from work or whatever, and just like, oh, this is so good and nice. Yeah, and then there are also some like really ones that just like blow you away. Like, I feel like sometimes, because I don't always get the chance to listen to the song before I play it.
Is that because I said it to you an hour before? Or?
Yeah, sometimes. But it's always fun for me too. It's all exciting. But yeah, like, I feel like, yeah, sometimes I'm just like, whoa, I cannot wait to hear what comes next from this artist. So yeah, it's so much fun. It's honestly one of my favorite parts of Monday Arvos, and I'm glad we do it.
It's good. I get to dig through a lot of like there's thousands of songs, and like you remind ones of like when some kid was climbing on top of your head and you had like the microphone like this.
Oh,
or
my God.
You're in a juvenile justice center with like, 10 dudes just hanging out making this song, and you're like, gee, that was wild. Like, it reminds you of things like that.
Totally.
And awesome. And just to finish, kind of roll back around into any, I guess, advice like for new artists, what they should do, or I hate the word should, but like wise words, I guess, for any new artists.
Well, we haven't talked about it yet, so I'd love to plug that FBI has a thing called Music Open Days, which at the moment are probably going to be moved online in some capacity, which I think is really great. But basically what it would normally mean is that I think it's the first Monday of every month, we open up the doors to the FBI studios in Redfern, and people can come in and bring tracks and kind of have an audience with our music director, Amelia, who's amazing.
That's why you actually get to sit down with.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. That's
totally.
like I can't think of any places where you can go meet the music director on. That's wild.
Absolutely. And you can like ask her any questions you might have. She kind of like runs through, I guess, what we have today about how to submit your music, but even in more detail, and like things to do, things not to do, which is awesome. So that is great. And I think like taking up opportunities like that, whether at FBI or anywhere where you see opportunities to talk to either professionals in music or other artists and just connect with them is so invaluable, because I feel like music is such a beautiful community, and like wherever you can, making those relationships is part of what makes it so great. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. That's not a plug at all. That's actually like really useful information.
Yes. Great.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Thanks, Tanya.
Thanks so much. This is great.
Thanks for taking the time out and giving us your knowledge.
Such a pleasure. Always.